Hey my friends, I'm Matt. This is the 10-Minute Bible Hour, and today I'm going to do a review video where I look at a whole bunch of these recently published study Bibles. I've spent the last few weeks with these, and I got some stuff I found here that I really like. Also came across some stuff that maybe didn't dazzle me quite as much. So yes, I'm going to be critical of some Bibles in this unsponsored review video. But that said, the people who do this are geniuses, and they're really good at what they do, and they have a good reason for what they do. I'm just doing a review video because if you're looking to buy one or maybe get a new study Bible for somebody else, I thought it'd be helpful to give you my honest feedback on what's out there. All right, let's get after it. Bible number one, this is the NIV Quest Study Bible. It has the lay flat feature in terms of binding. I really do like the way this is bound. Long story short, you want a study Bible that does this. You don't want a study Bible that's constantly trying to snap shut when you take your fingers off of it. You'll just eventually get frustrated and you won't use the thing. Inside, the NIV Quest Study Bible has a pretty clean text, not a bunch of notes down here, but these margins are just full of questions. The obvious question that the text demands is almost always over here. I really like this, but not for a go-to study Bible. I like it as a supplementary Bible to help develop your skill in asking the right and obvious questions of the text. This is the Holman Christian Standard Bible Study Bible. I think it's really beautifully presented. This is a through the front door study Bible made by the publishing arm of the Southern Baptist Convention. Look at this. It's got beautiful full colored maps in text. It's got these really helpful original language notes throughout as well. I think this is really solid. Probably the only question most people are going to have about it is the translation, since it is a less popular translation. Quickest way to sum it up is the Holman Christian Standard Bible shoots the middle on all of the translation debates. It's a little bit paraphrasey, a little bit word for word. I find it to be readable and useful. If you want something that's a little bit different than what you've been reading and is a really solid option in terms of the resources that it presents, you might like this. This one's going to be tough for me because I have so much I want to say about it, and we're trying to move along quickly. This is another Holman. It's the Holy Land Illustrated Bible. If you were going to get anything out of this stack to supplement the detailed Bible study you're already doing, this would be my recommendation. It is beautifully laid out. It's packed with images that actually help instead of just cluttering up the page. A lot of the photography in these Bibles, nothing personal, I'm not great myself, but it's just not very good. It's flat, compressed images that don't give you any sense of space. Like, oh, that's that part of the Bible. It just looks like you're looking at a dumb field. There's no context. These people were good at taking pictures, and as a result, you feel like you are there. You will finish reading through the New Testament with this Bible, and you'll see the Bible through fresh lenses because you will feel like you have been there and you get the context far better. I highly recommend this Holy Land Illustrated Bible. All right, nerds, this one is for you. This is the NET Full Notes Edition Study Bible. This thing is incredible. Look at that. That's the text. Those are the notes. But the notes aren't like, here's how to be a better person, or what does Jesus mean when he says this thing? Other Bibles deal with that, and that's great. This is dealing with questions regarding the text, manuscript evidence, and questions of translation. And not some questions, like all the questions are all in here. I would not recommend this for your number one go-to study Bible, but I would highly recommend this for a supplement for your deep dive study. Next up is, actually I got this little guy next up. This is another Holman publication. It's just these groovy little single book, text on one page, room to journal on the other. In terms of presentation, I like Crossway's volumes better. They've got this for the whole Bible. So if you're studying through a book like, say, Matthew, or if you're listening to a daily podcast like on, say, the book of Matthew, something like this would be great because you got the text over here and you got room to jot down notes and thoughts over there. I think if you want to understand any part of the Bible, you ask these three questions in this order. 1, what does the passage teach us about God? 2, what does the passage teach us about what he's up to? And then, and only then, where might I fit? My problem with the Life Application Study Bible is that it skips to that third question way too often for my taste. A lot of really smart people have benefited tremendously from this and really like it, so I might be in the minority here, but I think if you want to give a Bible to somebody who's on the front end of faith, there are a whole lot of other great options here that do a better job of starting with the stuff about God and then working their way up to the questions that you or I might have for ourselves. All of that said, it's a beautiful layout. The notes are basic and helpful, and there are about a bazillion different editions of this with just really cool presentation. I mean, look at that. So I'm not the biggest fan of the Life Application Study Bible, but I understand that I am in the minority on that. Make of that what you will. I'm not a big fan of this next one. This is the Spurgeon Study Bible. It's another Holman. I just think it's a novelty. Unless you're a big fan of Charles Spurgeon, who was an important preacher in the 19th century, this is going to feel silly and unnecessary. It has a lot of his notes in it, but they're oddly distributed throughout. This is the kind of thing that you give to somebody who went to seminary and is a huge fanboy of Chuck Spurgeon and would just be happy to have something that has his signature imprinted in leather on the front. I don't think you'll benefit from this text very much. This is the NIV First Century Study Bible. What I like about it is that it's another one of those entries into the cultural, historical context stuff. We can always use more of that. That's awesome. What I'm a little bit wary of, so I don't really like it when it has some dude's name on the front of a study Bible. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not. I read the preface, I don't know what to make of that, but what I do know is that the guy put together a pretty cool study Bible. I like the look, this kind of cool parchmenty gradient is neat. It does the in-text important original language helps in Greek and Hebrew. The maps and diagrams seem really effective, and the few notes that I read through looks like center cut evangelicalism. I think this is a decent entry into this genre, and I wish I had it bound in leather because I like that better. This is another New International version from Zondervan. It's called the Starting Place Study Bible, and it's really good. Maybe I was being a smug jerk, but when I picked this one up, I was like, well, this is going to be super simple and patronizing. It's not. It's excellent. This is just the right dose for most people who are going to pick up a study Bible. I think this would be great for somebody who's brand new to this stuff. I think this would be great for an intermediate. I think this would be great for somebody who's been doing this for a long time. I highly recommend this thing. And further, I highly recommend it as a substitute for the much more popular Life Application Study Bible. Give this one a look. If you really like the New Living Translation, which not always, but often is associated with the Life Application Bible, and if you really like the Life Application Bible, but you're looking for a deeper dive, this might be a very familiar place to go next. This is the New Living Translation Illustrated Study Bible. This is from Tyndale, same people who do this. And it's more focused, in my opinion, on the first two questions of Bible study. What does the text teach us about God? What does the text teach us about his plan? In terms of artfulness and layout and binding, it's got all the stuff that you would want. It looks sharp. The notes are very succinct, but that enables them to offer more notes that at least point you toward the next question without cluttering up the whole page. I think this might be something that you would really enjoy, and it's another one of those that I might run out and get in a leather binding because I think I might use it more. In terms of concept, I would give this next one 10 out of 10. It's an awesome idea. It's the Storyline Bible. Everything they're doing here in terms of the notes is meant to put it all into the big context of the text so that you just get how it all fits together. Unfortunately, in terms of execution, I just don't think it's that great. There aren't enough notes, and there's some little color coding gimmicks that they used to try to help you make the connection, but they're so few and far between that you lose it as you're just reading through the text. I think it's a cool idea. I think the next edition might be more effective than this one, and I might wait for that. This little segment might be a little more dicey because I want to review the two Bibles I use the most at once. This is a 1984 translation NIV Ryrie Study Bible. I like it. I think the notes are effective. The individual behind this leans a little bit more dispensational. There might be pluses or minuses to that theological perspective, but I learned the Bible in 1984 New International Version, and so I like to keep one around because that's how I think, it's how I hear it. But I really like the English Standard Version. I like their translation approach, but even more so, I just like this study Bible. I love the graphics and the way it's laid out. It is huge and unwieldy, but it very rarely lets me down in terms of, where is that? Or, I'd like to know this. It seems like they ask a lot of the right questions. They anticipate the questions you would have and throw that down in the notes. It wouldn't be fair for me to point out that this has a theological bent without acknowledging that this has a theological bent. This is a very popular translation in more Reformed and Reformed-ish circles, and so you can take that into account however you'd like when you consider either of those. This is the third of 3 cultural, historical, geographical context study Bibles that we're going to look at today. And I think this has got to be the best selling. I certainly hear the most people talking about this. This is the NIV Cultural Background Study Bible. It's laid out a lot like the classic generic NIV study Bible, but the notes don't do the same thing. They're designed to put you in the shoes of the original audience, help you understand how they thought about things and what their world was like. And that is a very useful discipline. It's a discipline that essentially says, I need to understand the text before I do anything with it. And as we've discussed, I think that is a right orientation to the Bible. The layout is pretty. It's full color. The notes seem to be effective. The cross-references check out. I think this is a Bible that you would get a lot of value out of, but it might be a little bit difficult to make this your go-to everyday study Bible. This might barely qualify as a little bit more of a supplement. This next part of the stack all goes together. This is the Immerse series from Tyndale, and the concept here is 10 out of 10. It's just a Bible with nothing. No verses, no chapters, no nothing. It's meant to take away all the noise and help you just focus on what's there without worrying on artificial after-the-fact page breaks and section breaks. It's a really useful way to read through the Bible once when you've been doing a whole lot of this. This can be surprisingly clarifying. One of the most popular Christian resources in modern history is the Halley's Bible Handbook. Every dude who does this for a living has got this in his study. But until very recently, that handbook, which was a companion to your regular Bible and the forerunner of all of this that you see here, until recently, I don't think there was an actual study Bible where it was integrated. Now there is. The result is a beautiful homage to a dude who contributed a ton to this field. But in terms of effectiveness, it's okay. This wouldn't be my top recommendation, but it's just fine. And if you have some history or appreciation of the Halley's Bible Handbook, you might enjoy this just for those purposes. We're down to the last study Bible, which doesn't even really look like a study Bible at first glance. This is the Filament edition of the New Living Translation. Pop it open, right off the bat, you discover there's a companion app. Interesting. And you take the Bible out, it's beautifully bound, very different looking than anything else. It's little, it's light, it's clean, there's nothing on here. But there's an app. And with the app, you can scan each page number, and then that brings up notes and resources specific to that page. So here we go. It's going to load up to Genesis 1. There are 3 boxes. That's it per page. Click on the top one, which is Study. You get the academic notes from the NLT Study Bible we looked at earlier. Click on the second box, which is Reflect. You get more applicative notes that look like, or maybe straight from the Life Application Bible that we looked at earlier. Click on the third one. It's C. That takes you around to internet resources like the Bible Project, which is awesome. I noticed there's nothing in here from the 10-minute Bible hour, which is fine. I'm not even insecure about that. That's fine, because the Bible Project is great. Why wouldn't you just go do that anyway? It's great. This is a really interesting product, and I'm going to tinker around with it a little bit more. This could be something that I use and drag around with me when I want something more lightweight, but still heavyweight in terms of resources. All right, that's it. I'm interested in your take on which Bibles I should have reviewed but didn't. I'm interested in your take on what things I was stupid about and reviewed the wrong way. I also am interested in saying thank you to everybody who's subscribed to this program. If you found value in this, I would invite you to consider subscribing as well if you think I've earned it. If not, no big deal. Either way, I'm Matt. This is the 10-Minute Bible Hour. I appreciate hanging out with you.